Is that better? I think that's better now. Pesky StreamYard defaulting to my Oculus microphone. How does that work? I don't even understand that. I've got something like 4 microphones, but I've only got one plugged in. Anyway, I'm going to reverse what I said was, all right, you bunch of utter bastards. Yeah, good evening. Thank Christ it's Friday. You know what? I'm absolutely exhausted. Um, yeah, as I was saying, and then, well, you can hear me. The reason I look like complete shit is because evening, Marco. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you, man. It's been a wee while since I've caught up. Um, yeah, I had my booster jag, my COVID booster jag on Tuesday, and I was I was all right after it, but then that night, the sort of night time, I felt I had like a really bad fever, like absolutely burning up. Could hardly sleep. So that was like Tuesday to Wednesday, and then on the Wednesday during the day, I just felt utterly drained. I just felt really drained. And then Wednesday to Thursday night time, I felt fine. I was absolutely fine. And then last night, I don't know what happened. I was fine up till went to bed. Went to bed, and I woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning, and again, really high temperature, feeling complete shit. Never got a wink of sleep at all. And then it was, before I knew it, it was like 8 o'clock, quarter to eight, time to get up, and I was absolutely fucked. I was so tired, and I'm tired. I mean, I was actually sleeping about half an hour ago, so there you go. So anyway, you bastards, how are you? Let's have a quick wee look. It's quite funny because I was sitting, obviously, I sit behind the camera and just wait for the wee intro thing to come down, and it was zero people watching. I wonder what I would do if nobody was actually watching it. Thing is, I come on, I kind of think of myself like I'm like a comedian going on in front of the stage, in front of people with absolutely no script. I mean, I've not got anything to talk about at all. So it's up to you bastards. That's about 3 times I've called you bastards. Anyway, Colin Jones ponders retro goodness. Is that not the same? Is that you coming in twice? How does that work? Anyway, yeah, quick roll call. Just when I shout your name, you say if you're here or not. Mark, whatever. Colin Jones, Del Boy, 3001. That must be the number of times you've made a joke about me not getting to level 2. We've got LFC Gamer and Vlogs. We've got Ponders Retro Goodness. So Colin's here twice. We've got Mark, whatever. We've already said that. What the hell are you guys talking about? Dancing in the kitchen? I've no idea. Wee Bob did pop in, and then he's gone. Mark's asking what colour beard. It's getting a bit. It's getting a wee bit. I wouldn't say long. Actually, I would love to. Here, right, I'll put it to the vote. Should I grow my beard? I want to have a proper, because that's more like designer stubble. I want a proper beard that kind of comes down, like a ZZ Top beard. I would love that. I don't think my girlfriend would be overly chuffed, but anyway, it's up to me. We've got the Oxmeister. Hello, me pretties. Well, I've got Mr. Ornig. Excellent. Glad you're in tonight, Stephen. It's China Minor Talk Night. Stephen absolutely cracks me up. I think that's it. Is that everybody? I think it is. Yeah. So listen, well, I've got Mr. Morrison. Good evening, Robert. How are you? Are you still working? And we've got Christopher, Mr. Panther UK. How you doing? You utter. I'm going to call you a cunt. You're privileged. You're a cunt. The rest are just bastards. Um. Yeah, you normally do your own live stream on a Friday night. What was I talking about? Anyway, so yeah, you need to, it's going to be the shortest Friday waffle on record because I have got absolutely zilch. It's lunchtime, good stuff. I've got absolutely nothing to talk about. I was actually just going to pre-record a waffle, and I thought I'm too tired. I've got nothing to talk about. At least when you do a live one, I end up just talking a lot of shit. So anyway, that's what I got when I left my last job. There you go. Boss man Al's mug. So I've been a bit shit. Have you guys had your booster jag? My arm was bloody sore as well. I mean, I give blood fairly regularly. I've not done it for a couple of years right enough, but it was damn sore, really. Why don't you ask me? Why don't I ask you questions? That's not a bad question. I'll tell you what, Stephen, you've got a question there. Do you think? I think you're taking the piss, Stephen. I really do. Do you think China Minor will be played on Christmas Eve Day boxing? What are you talking about? Am I going to play China Minor on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve? No, sorry, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, and Christmas Day. No, right. I'm going to get this out here right now. As we all know, Stephen is a bit of a fan of China Minor. I have absolutely no idea why. Saying that, it's not a bad game. I mean, it's really not a bad game at all. I have no idea why you've got this utterly evening, Trev. How are you, mate? I don't know why you've got this utter obsession with the game. I'm genuinely intrigued. But anyway, yeah, as we know, Stephen likes to ask for the occasional game, and to be fair to him, he's been bloody generous helping support my channel. I've appreciated every single penny. So what I've decided to do is just for Stephen, is a way of me thanking him for what he's given me. Is I'm going to be playing China Minor on what day is it? Next Thursday. What date will that be? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what date it is. Oh, there you go. Let's all look at the calendar. Thursday the 16th. I was at 7 o'clock at night. Excuse me. I'm going to be playing China Minor and nothing else for 90 minutes. That's 1 hour and a half of English time. I'm going to be playing China Minor for an hour and a half just for you, Stephen. But there's two caveats that I do this. One, you don't give me any more money, and I mean that. I absolutely mean that. If you've got loads of money, I don't know what your financial position is, but if you've got loads of money, give it to the homeless or give it to something worthwhile. Don't give it to me. You've done more than enough for me, and I do appreciate it. So no more money, and I mean that. Yeah, I don't want any more money. Yeah, no worries, Stephen. No more money. I don't want you to give me any money when I'm doing the live stream. I don't want any money tonight. The second caveat is after Thursday, no more requests for China Minor. Please, there's got to be no more requests because I won't be playing it again. This is what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it 90 minutes just for you, and then there will be no more China Minor. I don't want to see the game. I don't want to play the game. I'm finished with the game. I've had enough of the game. I mean, it's been a part of my channel for I don't know. I've no idea when it started. I don't know when I started playing it. It's probably about 2 years ago, and it became a bit of a standing joke, and then ultimately we've all got bored of it. And Stephen, he's just getting into it, so it's almost a cast. Ian Gray has cast his a magical spell across Mr. Ornig. So that's the deal, Stephen. No more money, and you don't ask for it again. You got that? So yeah, next Thursday. If you do happen to miss it, then you can watch it over and over and over again. And I will be asking you, Stephen, because this video is just for you. Do I play it and then get to die and then I keep starting again? Or do I put it on infinite lives? If you want me to play it with infinite lives, I'm not going to be playing it with like sprite detection turned off. What's the point of that? There's absolutely no point to it at all. But if you want me to play it with infinite lives to see how far I can get in an hour and a half, then and that's absolutely fine. So that's the deal. No more money, and you don't mention it on this channel. You got that. Evening, John. Ian Gray is in hospital, I was told. Right, sorry, John. Do you mind? I mean, it's entirely up to yourself. Excuse me. Yeah, how do you know that? Because well, everyone that's watching this video probably realised that I was because of the game. I was I would love to, and I still would. I would still love to talk to Ian. I would still love to talk to Ian Gray. I mean, hopefully you've watched my Richard Leinfelder interview. I've got part two coming out. It's pre-recorded. I've got part two coming out on I don't know, next week. I love talking to people who made games back in the day. I thought Richard was a really good guest. Told some interesting stories. And if you've not watched it, well, in fact, no, if you've not watched it, I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But he does. I asked him why is China not China Minor? Christ, you've bloody got me at it now, Stephen. I asked him why Cauldron was probably the most difficult 8-bit game ever, and he told us why. He asked me if I played a pirate copy. So anyway, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but yeah, you should watch it. He's an interesting person. But anyway, yeah, I would love to talk to Ian Gray because Interceptor Software they were a they were an integral part of the early days of the computer industry, especially in the C64. I mean, they brought out some absolute howlers. I mean, I can't really think of any. Is there even a game that I would say is actually good? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, then about 6 months ago, apparently Ian Gray commented on my channel, and he said that evening Colin, he said that somebody. Now I'm taking this with a pinch of salt. He told me that somebody had apparently told him that that this guy played China Minor every Sunday. And yeah, we got talking, and we swapped emails, and he was going to come on the channel. And I've no reason to believe, other than it does seem very, very unlikely that it wasn't actually that it was him, or it wasn't him, I should say. The sad thing was we arranged a time and date, or a date and time to do the kind of interview, and then he never turned up, and he never replied to any further emails. So I don't know. I don't know if it was you, Stephen, or you, Ian Gray. Were you pretending to be Ian Gray? I have no idea. But like I says, after next Thursday, there will be no more talk about China Minor, and I mean that. I don't want any more talk about it. So anyway, let's have a quick. Dale boys asking, "Evening, Matt. How are you, mate?" Question: if you had a bedridden illness, God forbid, what would be your go-to game to play from any era? Arcade cabinets banned, but not MAME. So what game, in other words, what game would I play using a handheld? It's interesting, Dale, because I mean I've got an absolute plethora of handhelds, and I mean I don't know, 10 years ago, the thought of having MAME or all these systems on a little handheld was just ridiculously exciting. But the fact that I've got so many of them, I never really play them. I do play if I'm going on a train journey somewhere or whatever. I will take a handheld with me. But what game? What game would I play in my bed? I'm trying to think. It probably wouldn't be an arcade game, because the problem. Yeah, not a problem, Batman. No problem at all. Just drop me a wee message, and if I can help you out, I will indeed. Yeah, I wouldn't. It probably wouldn't be an arcade game, because arcade games, I find, whilst it's fun to play, like, I don't know, Robotron or something like that, um, on a handheld. It's the screen is just too small. It really is too small. So it would have to be a game that was probably written for a handheld. Even playing like a C64 game on a small device, it's all right just for a wee while. I don't know. I don't know why I'm looking behind me like I'm going to get inspiration. I don't know. I'm really, one of my favourite handheld games, and it did come out. I think it came out originally on the GameCube, and it came out in the Wii. It might have even came out in the Wii U as well. And it is, what the hell's it called? Oh, bloody hell! Not Mario, not Luigi. What's the Wario? WarioWare. Yeah. Evening, Phil. How are you, mate? WarioWare. It's basically a collection of little mini games, but it's done in a brilliant way. You basically get it comes up with a wee mini game, and it doesn't tell you how to do it, and you've literally got maybe 3 seconds to sort of react to the game. Some of them will be like you've got a hand, and then a stick will suddenly fall, and you've got to try and catch it. It's just all these tiny wee mini games. It's mega addictive. Um, that's yeah. That's I love that. I love that. I used to. What did I play? I did also play Incomplete actually. Zelda on the Game Boy, the original black and white one. So, but yeah, it would have to be. I think it would probably be WarioWare. Like I says, playing non kind of handheld games on a handheld is all right for a wee while, but the screen's just not really big enough. So, yep, I would go for WarioWare. Ugh, can't even talk properly. WarioWare. Um, right, let's have a wee look and see where we are. So, thank you, Del. Stephen completed Cauldron back in '80s. Yeah, well, I'm assuming Stephen, have you watched my Richard Leinfeldner video? If not, get onto it. He programmed it. He was the guy that actually wrote it. Uh, Right, Colin's asking, what is your favourite Cauldron or Cauldron 2? Neither. No, I mean, Cauldron, the original Cauldron is it's a beautiful game, and I said that to Richard. I says it really is. It's one of the best looking games, and even now I still think it still does look impressive. The detail in the graphics, the color, even the sound is really good. But it's just too damn difficult. The second one, I couldn't really get into it. I mean, it's got this. You play the part of a pumpkin, and it bounces up and down. It's a wee bit kind of similar to if you imagine Whizball, when you first start Whizball, and it just bounces up and down, and you can rotate it to obviously move left or right. When you pick up the first power up, you can influence the Whizball left or right, and that's pretty much how the pumpkin in Cauldron 2 reacts. It's a beautiful game again, it really is, but it's just absolutely damned impossible. So if I was going to have to play one, I'm just thinking about this. Cauldron in its current state, I would say, is impossible. Well, apart from Stephen. Stephen is a gaming ninja. The second one might, whilst it's tricky, it might not be as difficult if you actually learn the controls. So yeah, without playing it, I would say Cauldron. But if I was going to if you were to reword the question and say you can only play one, Cauldron or Cauldron 2, what would it be? Reluctantly, if I had to play one of them, I would probably go for the second one, just because I don't think it could possibly be as difficult as the first one. Colin's asking, in the subject of future interviews, what about Richard Bayless, coder of many C64 games in recent years? Yeah, you know what, Colin? I mean, there are so many people that I would love to interview. It's just a question of it's a question of me getting the time to do it and then actually getting in touch with people. Now, the people that I interview, it's usually people that I've had that I'm aware of the games they've written, and I know their background. I'll be honest, I'm not really. I don't really know many of the games. I mean, what games did Richard code? I'm assuming they're going to be games that came out later on. I mean, you need to remember that I had actually moved on. I sold my C64. I got my C64 in 1983, and I sold it in 1987. I think it would be. It's actually quite scary that, because when I kind of think back, it felt like I had my C64 for years and years and years. It really did. It played such a massive part in my life. But then when you actually look at it realistically, it was only 4 years. Now, 4 years now pass in an absolute blink of an eye. I mean, when you think about when COVID first came along, I didn't really want to mention that tonight, but anyway, it's out there now. When COVID first came along in March 20, um, yeah, March 20, we all thought it was going to last maybe a couple of weeks, and then it would be something else would come in the news. And here we are, in about 4 months' time. It's going to be 2 years since we've had this bastard of a thing, and it doesn't look like it's going to go away anytime soon. So yeah, what were we talking about? I can't even bloody remember. I've completely forgotten what I'm on about. What were we talking about? Wait a minute. Oh yeah. Sorry, right there, it's in front of me. Richard Bayless. So I only had my C64 for 4 years. I got rid of it in 1987. Sold it to get an Atari ST. And then I did. I think yeah, I'm sure I got an Atari ST, and I had that for less than a year, and then I sold it to get an Amiga, and then I moved in with a girl, and I needed to basically get some money for a deposit in a house, and I sold the Amiga, and I was basically computerless for maybe a couple of years. Which, when I think back now, when I consider how much games is part of my life, it seems mental to think I never actually had a computer at all. I had a Game Boy. Yeah, I got a Game Boy when it first came out. That would be 1990, something like that, I think. Um, and then I sold my Amiga. Then I got a C64 again for a wee while. Yeah, I forgot about that. Then I think I got another Amiga. I can't remember. I think I moved on to PC or something. I've no idea. I've no idea. But yeah, Richard Bayless. I mean, he's. I'm familiar with his music. A lot of his music. I'm just waiting for him to do an Oxygen 6. It's a pity he's never done that. I would love to hear an Oxygen 6 by Richard Bayless. Um, but I don't know his games, and because I don't really know his kind of back catalogue or his history, I wouldn't feel overly comfortable talking, because I think if you're interviewing somebody or talking to somebody, you've got to have a background knowledge of them, because if you don't, I think it comes across as quite ignorant if you don't really know what they've done. Quite funny, because when I was interviewed Sean Southern, I had to remind him of the games that he'd written, and he couldn't remember half the games he'd actually done. So that's quite funny. But yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for other people to interview. There's been a few people I've tried in the past. I've tried to get Tony Crowther. I've tried to get not Richard. I've tried to get Martin Galway, Rob Hubbard. I've never even tried, because I think trying to get hold of him is nigh on impossible. I've tried on several times to get Jeff Minter, but he never returns my phone calls. He's notoriously unreliable. Uh, Incidentally, does anybody? There's a guy that's bringing out a film all about Lamasoft. Does anybody know? I can't remember what it's called. Does anybody know where we are with that? I think it was a kind of Kickstarter thing. I think it was. Incidentally, I don't know if I mentioned that I sold my Spectrum Next in about 10 minutes. Yeah, there you go. And I got enough money to basically fund a Mister. So yeah, not that I can buy one at the moment, but yeah, I basically got rid of something that I never, ever, ever used, and I'm going to buy something else that I'll probably never use. No, I don't think I'll have the same problem in the Mister, because the great thing with that is it's going to do other stuff. If it's shit, and I don't think it will be, because it does seem to be growing in popularity, then happy days, and I'm going to plug it into that bad boy over there, that Sony Trinitron. Yeah, you can probably see I've got my BBC Model B out. I've stuck my Atari in the cupboard for a wee while. I'm going to be doing the live stream. I'm going to be doing Sunday. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to be pointing the camera. So I'm actually going to be playing it on proper hardware. I know that the quality is going to be a bit shit, but then you're probably saying, what's different about any other stream that you do? And you'd be absolutely right. So yeah, it's going to be using proper hardware. I think I've got most games. I've got an SD card, CF card thing. I don't even know what it is. It's got a thing underneath it. Basically got all the games. If the game's not on it, then I'm not playing it. So that's Sunday. But yeah, if anyone's got any contacts to anybody that's involved, excuse me, in the industry, then please let me know. LFC Gamer in Vlogs, favourite holiday from your childhood? Excuse me, I'm just going to have a few seconds to think about this one. Now, I would consider myself very, very, very fortunate, because I had a ridiculously happy childhood. I really mean that. I mean, I've got two sisters, my mum and dad, and me. There was 5 of us in total, and yeah, I had an amazing childhood. We didn't have a great deal. I mean, my dad was a plumber, my mum was a nurse. We didn't have the latest stuff. I always wanted when the Atari 2600 came out, or Atari VCS. That's what I called it. It was a VCS. Never mind this 2600 bollocks. I would never ever say, if you went to the bank for a loan and they says, how much would you like? You wouldn't say, can I get £2,600, please? You would say, can I get 2,600? So why don't we call it the Atari 2600? Or do some people call it that? I'm going to call it the VCS. Was it video console system or something? Yeah, I don't know whatever it is. It's Atari VCS. I always wanted one of them, and I think I did. I kind of tentatively inquired with my mum and dad about the possibility of getting one, knowing full well that the answer was going to be no. Simple as that. I didn't argue. I knew they weren't going to get me it, and that was it. But when it came to holidays, like I says, we didn't get a lot at Christmas. God, I feel I'm kind of going off topic here, but anyway, that's what I tend to do. When I think back to Christmas, I mean, Christmas growing up as a sort of, in the 1970s, my mum had what was it called, the K's catalogue. I think there was different ones, Littlewoods and all that kind of stuff. My mum had K's, and yeah, you got the spring and summer one, which was really boring because it didn't have, apart from the underwear section, um, the toy part of the catalogue was a bit pants. But then in the autumn, they brought out the autumn oblique winter version, or edition, I should say, and it had the most awesome toys ever. It was excellent. It's quite funny when you think about catalogues. You paid it up over like 52 weeks. Yeah. So yeah, when the catalogue arrived, I would get to the back, and I would just look at all the toys that I want. I don't remember circling them. I don't think I actually circled them. But I would say to my mum, I would quite like that, and I would like that, and I'd like that. And I would maybe pick, I don't know, 4 or 5 things that I would really like. And my best mate at the time, Derek, he would do the same. Uh, and when Christmas Day came, I would get 2 of them. I would maybe get the big thing, and I'd maybe get something smaller. Derek got all of them. He always got everything, and I was always really, really jealous of Derek because he had all the toys, and I just got one of them. I mean, notable Christmases, $6 Million Man. I got that. Derek got that. Evil Knievel. I got that. Derek got that. Best Christmas present ever, without a shadow of doubt, was my Rally Grifter, and it was metallic red. And even now, it was an absolute beautiful, beautiful piece of machinery. It really, really was. Um, I would love to own one now, just to kind of look at it. They do go for quite daft money, like everything nowadays. It goes for quite daft money on eBay. Just going off topic, I sold my Spectrum next, and I sold the Sharp. What's the not Sharp? What the hell is it? Sword. Yeah, I sold the Sword M5. Sold both of them on eBay, and I was like talking to the guys that were buying it. In fact, one of the guys, the guy that bought my Sword, actually watched my video. I did a review video, or not a review. I did a kind of overlook, or a Mainmeister looks at video of it, and he actually watched that video. And I was talking to them, I said, right, I'm going to get it posted. I literally posted them the same day that the guys bought it. Posted them first class, away they went, and the guys goes, oh, we'll leave you good feedback. That was about a week ago, and I've not had any feedback, and I've left positive feedback on both theirs. It's actually quite annoying. I notice eBay now, people don't leave feedback anymore. Is that just a thing? It's annoying because when you're selling things that are quite expensive, like the Next and the Sword, it would be nice for somebody to give you some decent feedback, basically to show that you're a decent person. So yeah, if you happen to be watching this video, which is completely highly unlikely, please leave me feedback, because that's how kind of eBay works. I'm up to, I don't know, 400 odd feedback. I reckon it would not surprise me if I've probably bought and sold over 1,000 things in eBay. So probably less than 50% of people leave feedback nowadays, which is a bit of shame. Anyway, getting back to the grifter, yeah. So Christmases were amazing. Going back to holidays. Now, when I tell people this, they'll go, "Oh, you were spoiled. Yeah, your mum and dad must have had too much money." My auntie, she was she was one of the first air stewardesses on what were they called? TWA, Trans World Airlines. This is back in the 50s. She was one of the first air stewardesses. She was very glamorous looking, and she moved. She lived in California, and then my mum and dad decided, right, we want to go on holiday. And I shit you not, for about 10 years, my mum and dad saved every penny. And I mean that quite literally. They weren't putting like 20 quid away, they were quite literally saving every penny. I remember they had a big jar, and any spare change they would put into this jar, and that was the American fund. So after about 10 years, maybe not quite as much as 10 years, but it was a long time, maybe after 4 or 5 years, they had enough money, and we went to America in 1985. Great holiday. I mean, we went to Disneyland. I was actually in Disneyland. Well, I went to the one I was in was in Los Angeles. That's when I went in 1975. I went back there. Well, I didn't go back there. I went to Disneyland Orlando in 2014. And the funny thing was, half the rides that were there in 1975 were still there. And it's not, and I think that just goes to show how far advanced Disneyland were back in 1975. The fact that a ride, 30 years later, would still get people in. Things like the Haunted Mansion. I don't think what's that one where you just drop down the scary elevator thing? That wasn't there. The Haunted Mansion, the It's a Small World, that was there. A Jungle Cruise, I think there was a Jungle Cruise as well. Yeah, there was quite a few. Anyway, yeah, I kind of digress. So, yeah, the holiday in America was fantastic, and then we went back in 1982. Again, great. I mean, it was when we went in 1975. We went to Universal Studios. Now, I could show you a picture, but I can't be asked. Most people probably have no idea what I'm talking about. There was a program called Kojak on, I don't know what channel it was, BBC One or BBC Two or STV, and that was it. And his sidekick was a guy called Crocker. And we were in Universal Studios and we actually saw Crocker and we got a photograph of him. So there you go. Yeah, but Jaws had just come out, and I don't think they didn't have the Jaws ride, but I remember seeing posters for Jaws and all that, and it's a great time to be there in the 70s. Even being in like San Francisco back in 1975, it was awesome. But then we went back in 1982. It was just me, my two sisters. They didn't want to go at that point, so it was just me, my mum, and me, my mum, my dad. And what did we do? Where did we go to? We went to Reno, Nevada. Now, Reno is like a mini Las Vegas. It's affectionately known as the biggest, smallest town in the world. But it's like a mini Las Vegas. Now, I would only be, 1982, I'd be 15 years old. And yeah, we went into a couple of casinos. Now, I wasn't allowed to bet, obviously, because of my age. But 1982, 1982, the arcades were in full swing. Video games were, it was a golden age of video games. Pac-Man had just come out, Rally X, Berserk, all these classic games, Centipede. And I can still vividly remember being in Reno, Nevada, in one of the what do you call it, the casinos, and I was just standing looking. I was standing looking at the machines. I didn't have any money at that point, and there was a guy fixing Rally X, and he saw me, and then he says to me, "Oh, there you go, kid," and he gave me like 10 free credits. Awesome, absolutely brilliant. First, yeah, that holiday was the first time I played Centipede. I played that in a sort of diner. The casino was the first time I saw Berserk. Probably the first time I saw Pac-Man. I don't think I actually played Pac-Man. Don't know. But yeah, great holiday. Anyway, getting back on topic, what was my favourite holiday? My favourite holiday wouldn't be either of these two. Even though, yeah, they were glamorous. We went to, Disneyland and that kind of thing. My favourite holidays were, I don't know why, I have no idea why we did this, but we used to go down to Essex. It's a place called Roydon, Roydon, Roydon. And we used to go down there every single year without fail. I don't know why we went down that far, because, I mean, coming from like Livingston, where I stay, down to Roydon, you're probably talking, I mean, it was like south of London. It'd probably take about, I don't know, 8 hours or something to get down there. And we always camped. My dad had we had one of these big fuck off family tents. It had Did it have two bedrooms? Yeah, I think it did. Well, when I say bedrooms, it had a little curtain thing that kind of separated it. So my mum and dad, they got one bedroom, and me and my two sisters got the other bedroom, and we were on sleeping bags. But when I think back to these holidays, even like the trip down in the car, I mean, the cars that my dad had back then, Austin Cambridge, which probably nobody's even heard of. Some really old cars. You also had, it was a fantastic looking car, a Ford Zephyr, which looked like a big American car. It was chocolate brown. It was. I wish I still had that, or I wish my dad still had it. So yeah, I mean the cars, they didn't have air conditioning, and I think I spent half the trip saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" I always had to sit in the middle, and I always used to lean forward. This is before seatbelts were a thing. Well, I think seatbelts did exist, but it wasn't the law to put them on. But yeah, because of the distance, we used to leave. I think we used to leave about midnight. We used to leave about midnight to drive down. Now, obviously, the reason being is it's the roads are going to be a lot quieter, which is fair enough. But it was great because we would get down to we'd go down probably the A1, whatever it was. We would stop at Scotch Corner, and we would get out of the car, and my mum had made sandwiches or rolls, and you'd have like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and you'd have a roll and a biscuit or something. And that was such a massive part of the holiday, was just going down. It was amazing. And then when we got down there, I mean, if you've ever watched Carry On Camping, the Carry On film, that's exactly what the campsites were like. You had you had like the shower block. Um, yeah, you had to go and get water. There was taps. You had to go and fill up the water, or we used to have a bucket. In fact, it sounds disgusting now, but our toilet in the tent was a bucket of water, and you basically did the toilet into the bucket, and this bucket was balanced precariously on the floor. Now you can imagine if somebody was to knock that over. None of your 5-star hotel bollocks back then. But it was great. It was so simple. I mean, we would usually, there was always a market. There was a market on, and like my mum and dad they would give me, I don't know how much money. They would maybe give me, I don't know, a couple of pounds, and that was to last me. I don't remember how long we went for. I don't know. I'd need to ask my sisters. Did we go for a fortnight? I've really no idea. I was too young to kind of remember. I mean, I've got loads of vivid memories of actually being on holiday, but I don't remember how long we were there, because as a kid, you don't really think about things like that. But yeah, I got maybe, I don't know, £2, and that was to last me. That was to last me the entire duration of the holiday. And needless to say, we would go to a market, and the very first toy I saw I wanted to buy, and that would be all my money. And my mum and dad, they would try and persuade me. Well, that's probably a bit light. They would actually physically stop me from spending the money, even though I wanted to buy this toy. They would say, "No, you're not spending your money. You need to wait. You need to wait." Um, but yeah, it was great. We would go to London for a couple of days. We would get the train to London, get on the. I mean, that was back in the good old days. I'm saying the good old days before security was a thing. I mean, you could stand outside 10 Downing Street, get your picture taken, and nobody batted an eyelid. Um, it was great. It was so simple, and the weather always seemed to be amazing. It always felt like it was roasty toasty. But yeah, even back at the campsite, I mean, what did we do? We would play. We would play football. We'd play badminton. This sounds so basic, but we'd even just play throwing a tennis ball at each other. My dad would try and teach me how to catch a ball, and we'd just throw it. That was it. That's all we did. We used to throw a tennis ball at each other, and that was the game that we played. There was no such thing as video games or anything like that at all back then. You just made your own entertainment, and then you would make. I used to like make catapults. I would get a piece of wood. And I always liked getting a little pen knife, and I would carve like a catapult, and then I'd get some elastic and make my own catapult. But it was simple things. And then at night time, and this was always, we always did this, at night time before we went to bed, we used to always go for a walk, and it would be getting dark, and you know, you could hear the sound of the sheep, the lambs, and all that kind of stuff. And then you would get back home, and my mum she would make breakfast, she would make supper for us, and it was usually things like Jacob's cream crackers with butter and cheese, and a cup of coffee, and that was it. That was kind of what we had for supper. And then you'd go to your bed, and absolutely loved being inside a sleeping bag in a tent. And it was even better if it was raining. You had the pit patter of the rain on the tent. Just amazing. Yeah, so anyway, sorry, LFC, that's a kind of long-winded, what was my favourite holiday? Yeah, it would be any of my kind of trips to Roydon back as a kid. Absolutely awesome. Excuse me one little second. How are we doing for time? 50 minutes. Right, I'm just having a quick wee squint to see. Phil's asking, is there a toy you had as a kid that you would love Santa to pop down your chimney this Christmas? You know what? Some days I've kind of thought about that. I've thought, oh, what game or not game? What toy did I have back in the day? I would love to. I would love to own now. Now, well, I've said, yeah, I would love a rally grifter. I would absolutely love a rally grifter. It's not something I would probably go on, but it would just be great. It was a beautiful thing. I mean, toy wise, I've got a ridiculous number of these little handhelds. I really need to get a proper video put out. I must have about, I don't know, I must have about 20, 25 of them now. Astro Wars was one of the ones that I probably have loved to have had again, and I do have it now. I mean, the stuff like I could go into eBay and I could buy the Evil Knievel. I had, what do you call it, $6 Million Man. I could go and buy that. Then I think to myself, why am I buying that? What am I going to do with it? And it would literally just be sitting on a shelf. It would just be for a pure nostalgia trip. So no, I would love I'd love the rally grifter, and I do like the fact that I've got a lot of these little handhelds again, because they were always magical. So thank you very much, Phil. Let's have another wee look. Yeah, Colin agrees with me. WarioWare is awesome. Sorry, Ox is asking, what's with the dislike button now? Can it be reverted to a dislike count? I'm not too sure. Actually, somebody told me, or I read somewhere, that apparently they're going to do away with the dislike button. As I've always said, I never, ever, ever understand the point of dislike. I don't really see the point, because if you're going to dislike something, if you're going to dislike a video, at least say why you don't like it. Tell the person. I hate when I get a dislike and people, you don't know why. Because, I mean, my videos, whilst not the greatest quality, if you're watching me doing an 8-bit face-off kerfuffle and it's called Manic Miner, then you're going to, after 30 seconds, you're going to see what I look like. You're going to see me playing the games. You're going to get a fair idea of what the video is going to be about. if you don't like it and think, oh, that's not something I'm interested in, then just come out. Why would you then give it a dislike? Because as far as compare videos about Manic Miner go, specifically played by an aging, tetchy, cantankerous Scottish person with a beard, then I've probably got one of the best videos ever. So I really don't understand the dislike. I can probably count in one hand the number of videos that I've disliked. If I've seen something that's like quite upsetting, or you know quite bit of bullying going on, whatever, I'll maybe put dislike. But yeah, there's been very, very few videos. If I watch a video within 5 seconds, I think I don't want to watch that, I just come out of it. I wouldn't dream of hitting the dislike button. But apparently YouTube are thinking about getting rid of it. You know what? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Colin's saying he has the Wii version of WarioWare. If you've never played it, go and play it. WarioWare. It's a great Wii game. It's really super addictive. Right, Mr. Ornig is asking. Now, I'm quite happy for you to get as many China Minor questions in as you want, Stephen, because after next Thursday, we do not talk about it. Would you still play China Minor if someone released the latest version with high graphics? I'd probably try it. Is it a game that I would want to see updated? Probably not. Probably not. Anyway, yeah, thanks, Stephen. Right, Milfy is asking, what early games that you like reenact some part of history, such as a certain battle, a war, or some event? Aye, I mean it's a kind of loose, in the loosest sense, 1942, Battle of Midway. I love Battle of Midway. But I suppose you're talking sort of like more kind of war gamey. I mean, Beachhead, I would imagine, is purely fictitious. Obviously, it's kind of based on real things, airplanes flying over, trying to shoot them down, that kind of stuff. But I've never really been into. What do you call it? Like war games. They're games that I would like to. What was it? There was one that I did try and play, and I quite liked it, and then I kind of went off it. What the hell was it? It was one of Micropro's early war games. I can't remember what it was. But one game that I did get into, and it absolutely traumatized the living shit out of me, and it was Theatre Europe by who made Theatre Europe, and it's basically all about the Cold War with the Warsaw Pact and NATO, and you can pick what side you want to play. And yeah, you've obviously got different weapons, and you've also got nuclear weapons at your fingertips. And to actually to launch a nuclear weapon, you have to. There was a real life phone number that you had to phone to get the codes, and I phoned it, and I can still remember obviously it was a recorded message, and in the background you could hear a baby crying, and it just, I don't know, it really kind of struck a nerve with me, because you need to remember, back in the mid 1980s, nuclear war was still very, very, very much a real threat. I mean, just a few years before, we had the government were showing what do you call it, public information films about, if you hear the siren, you need to take refuge in a building. You need to lie face down if you're outside. You need to build a shelter. If your granny dies, you need to wrap her up in a poly bag. You need to put her outside so that the government officials will collect her. This was real. This was real, and it absolutely scared the shit out of me. Now, if you've not read it, go and do so. My mate Tony Temple has written a game, Missile Commander, and it's a great book. You need to go and buy it. But he he talks about the very same thing that I'm talking about, that the threat of a nuclear war was very, very real, and it used to chill me to the bone. And so playing this game, it felt, I'm actually getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And even in the game, once you got the codes and you launched a nuclear bomb, it was just very vivid. I mean, the graphics were quite basic, but you launched it and you saw these little missiles. It was all done in kind of complete silence. You saw these little missiles kind of going across the screen, and then suddenly you get, and you just get the whole screen would be shaking, and then you'd see this big, massive mushroom cloud just rise up on the screen. And although it was a computer game, that frightened the utter bejesus out of me. It really did. Um, just in fact, I'm gonna pimp my channel because I can. Let's see. Hang on, me Meister. Me Meister Fears. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to pimp one of my videos. This was a video that I'm actually quite proud of. I quite enjoyed making it. You can bookmark it to watch after this if you've got hee-haw else to watch. And this was called, I made this in May 2015, and I called it The Nuclear War Fears as a 1980s Teenager. And as I says down here, memories and fears of a teenager growing up in the 1980s with the threat of a nuclear war a distinct reality. And I did put a wee disclaimer. It says, please note this video is of a fairly depressing nature, which some might find upsetting. So anyway, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. That's it there. That's my nuclear war fears as a 1980s teenager. And I talk in great detail about how I felt back in the 80s, the programs that were on TV. I mean, you had all these things like Threads, which was a film that came out, and it was, I think, was it Threads? Yeah, Threads was a nuclear bomb falling in Sheffield, and it was filmed in such a way you really felt like it was real. And it's a horrible film, but it's a film I think everybody should really be made to watch. So anyway, yeah, go and check out that. If you've not watched it, go and check it out. But yeah, I would say Theatre Europe, Milfy. So thanks for your question, buddy. Right, okay. YouTube took away the dislike count. Right, okay. Right, yeah, we're going to. Evening, Craig. How are you, mate? Yeah, Ian's asking. Mention the computer club this Tuesday. I'm not going to mention that it's actually on this coming Tuesday, whatever the date is, the 14th. All welcome, as we need new members. Yeah, if you're in or around Edinburgh, then get your arse along to the computer club, where you'll get to meet me and lots of other people. It's a great wee club. If you are going to come along, I mean, if it's your first time, just come along. Bring yourself. If you want to come back, then you can bring stuff along. But yeah, it's a great wee club. I think we're down to about 7 members at the moment. It's never been a big thing because, but we've been going for. I think we've been going for about 7 years. We've been going for a long time. So yeah, if anybody is in or thereabouts, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Livingston, Central Scotland, and you fancy getting together with some like-minded old farts like me, then come along next Tuesday. Yeah. Anyway, right. I'm probably. See, this is the thing. I'm probably. In fact, I'm actually looking here. The comment that I can see at the moment was in 7:22. So that was 40. I'm way behind. 40 minutes ago. these are the comments I'm looking at just now. Yeah, as Del says, if you're new to the channel or you're not new to the channel but you never ever speak, just say hello. It's always really nice. It's always great to kind of know just basically who kind of watches. Colin's asking if lockdown comes after Christmas, would you, Dale and Panther, do a Hogmanay special? Cheer us all up. I'm sure we could get that arranged. Absolutely sure we can get that arranged. I do actually, oh, hopefully, yeah. I have actually got a. We're going to wait and see. It might be live. I'm hoping to do a Christmas Eve with Lawn Boys post 1975 because we've kind of, it's a bit of a tradition. I think we've done a live Christmas special for certainly the last 2 years, maybe even the last 3 years. So we'll be hopefully be along on Christmas Eve, which is a Friday. But yeah, I'm quite sure that Dale and Panther, well, I'll talk to them and we'll see what we can do. Fuck the lockdown, is Ox saying, yeah. Let's have a wee look. Yeah, like I said, all the questions that I'm looking at were discussed about 40 minutes ago. Yeah, I say that to myself every day of the week, Robert, trust me. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there. Ah, yeah, there you go, Robert's. Yeah, I was talking about the Lamasoft program or film, Heart of Neon. Hopefully, it is going to get released. I'm not 100%. I wouldn't bet my mortgage on it that it will get a release because a lot of these things they start off, but actually getting them put out can be something completely different. Evening, Craig. How are you, mate? Evening, Mike. Mr. Garcia. Dino Dini. Yeah, I did. I mean, I did play. I liked the original kickoff, and then the original kickoff came out, and I thought that was great. And then Sensible Soccer came along, and that was it. There was nothing else came near it. I wasn't a fan of the second kickoff two quite as much, but I did like the original. I did like the original. Right, Ox is asking, Al, did you contribute to the original Way of the Rodent? Um, that's an interesting one, Neil. Yes, I mean I was one of the original writers for Way of the Rodent. Way of the Rodent, I mean, it still does exist. It's a forum. It was kind of a spin-off of Yak Yak. Now, Yak Yak was it was a forum. Now, you need to remember, forums were you had what were they called? IRC, which was like chat rooms. Forums came along before Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And Yak Yak was one that sprung up around Jeff Minter and Lamasoft. So I was on that from basically day one when the internet became a thing. And then after a couple of years, a number of us moved across to a new one called Way of the Rodent. And the idea behind it, it was an online magazine. And I mean, we used to put out an online magazine, I don't know, was it every month? I think it was. I know Paul Amos, he was part of it as well. We put out a magazine once a month. And it was, I really don't mind admitting this, it was a fantastic thing. Some of the stuff that we came out with was just brilliant. I mean, one of the things that one of the guys came out with, Ian Boffin, you've probably seen all these little paper arcade machines. That was Ian's idea. He came out with that, and then other people took over, and a few people, which annoyed me, started making them and selling them. But yeah, Way the Rodent was great. I've downloaded not all of them, but I've got a huge amount of the articles that were written. Now you need to remember, Way of the Rodent was a bunch of amateur people putting down their own words all about video games, and that's what made it really nice because it wasn't professional people. It was like the heart of gaming. It was really, people. It was you were really getting the flavour for what you got a real sense of what the early days of computers were. Brilliant, they really are. I mean, so I that the original website is now gone, but I managed to kind of excuse me, sorry if I've perforated your eardrums. I've managed to download a lot of them. Now, about 2 years ago, it's probably more than that, I would say probably 4 or 5 years ago, we decided we were going to try and get a Kickstart book all about Way of the Rodent. And I mean, I even got in touch with Dominic Diamond, and he very kindly sent me a photograph with him holding up Way of the Rodent. And we really went to town trying to kind of get it funded, but ultimately we never reached the target, so it was never a thing. It was never a thing. Now, I've not been on Way the Rodent. I left Way the Rodent about 3 years ago. Um, Quite simply, that it's not the type of place that I've really got any interest of anymore. It's not really a games thing. I mean, it all started up. It was all about the passion of video games, the spirit of video games. From what I gather, it's just a forum. It's the same people that are in it, and I've got a lot of friends who still frequent it, but there's nothing in it for me. And I realised that quite a long time ago, so I've kind of stepped away from it. I don't post. I very, on the odd occasion, I'll go in and just kind of have a quick look, but I don't post anymore. But yeah, to actually get that published would be very difficult because at the end of the day, everybody owns their own articles. So you would have to get you'd have to basically get the approval from everybody that's submitted an article. Now, the couple of guys, or one guy who actually, I think he funds Way of the Rodent, he's very particular about what happens to all these articles. So between you and I don't think you're ever going to see a book, which is a shame because there's a lot of really good content, really good content. But it's a shame. So no, it's not as simple. It's just approaching Chris Wilkins and getting Chris to publish it because you've basically got to own the material, and it's owned by so many people. So yeah, anyway, like let's see where time wise. A blue rinse beard for Alan would be good for a charity stream. Yeah. Yeah, Stephen, I do. I wish I still had my rally grifter. It was a lovely thing. Uh, Dale saying best Christmas from my childhood involved Evil Knievel stunt bike. Now, see, what was it? There was I had the normal one, and then there was the what do you call it? It was like the super bike that had rockets or something. That came out later on. I just had the normal one. I had the normal one. It came in a little shitty rubber Evil Knievel. Bionic Man with karate chop action. Yeah, I remember that. And he had the little plastic engine and the little rubber little skin. You went like that, and you rolled back, and you took out the circuitry in the in the harem. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dale. The little plastic moulding always fell out. And he ended up with this hole in his arm, but yeah, it always fell out. When you think about it now, it's as basic as anything, but it was great. It was really good. You know what, LFC, you're saying there you've never been outside the UK. You've got a massive fear of heights, and the thought of going on a plane is a big no-no. You'd be surprised that that's quite a common thing. You know, I've always thought everybody's been in an aeroplane, but that's not the case. You know, it's a shame because obviously you're missing out on a lot. The world's a big place, so you are missing out and stuff. But aye, it's you know what, it is a very common thing that. Da-da-da-da. Eagle eyes, yeah. I actually had. I got what do you call it? I've got a story. I think I've told it before because most of my stories, I'm like your old granddad. I just tell the same stories over and over and over again. For my birthday, I got the Action Man boat, and it came with a little battery operated motor. So I think it would be, I don't know, probably Boxing Day or something. I used to live next to a river. I went down to the river and I put the Action Man boat on the river and I put an Action Man on it. And then I switched the wee motor on and I was walking along adjacent to, I was basically following the boat along the river. And then after about 5 minutes, there was these rapids and I was watching this little boat. It was going pop, 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 and they had all they had all the rapids, and the boat went pop, 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 and I never saw it again. It basically got sucked in. It went underneath. It got sucked down, and that was it. That was my Christmas present gone. I was absolutely gutted. So probably somewhere in that River Amman, that little boat will still be down there. Yeah. But yeah, they brought out these. They brought out all these different versions of Batman. They brought out all these different versions of Action Man. The first one that I remember, and I think it was before my time, the hands were like that. They were plastic. They were like solid plastic, and basically that was how it was. And you could put like a gun into his hand, but they wouldn't move. And then a few years later, they came out with a rubberized grip. It was kind of like that. And then what you could do is you could pull back the fingers, and then they would wrap around to kind of hold guns. The only problem with these was eventually the rubber perished. In there, you would get the rubber would perish, and then his hands would basically fall off. And then they brought out Eagle Eyes, which had a little bit in the back, and if you moved it, his eyes would go like that. That was it. Then you also had one which I never had. You had the talking one. You pulled the string. I can't remember. Can anybody remember what? Can anybody remember what phrases it came out with? You know what? I'm going to have a wee look and see if there's a talking Action Man. I want to see what it says. Talking Action Man. Oh my God, that really, really, really takes me right back. Good golly, Miss Molly. I'm just going to bring up one just now and see. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure it was an actual record. It was like a tiny little disc that was in it. Right, I'm going to share. I'm sure Richie Animal wouldn't mind if I share the screen. It's obviously deteriorated quite a bit. You can't make it a bloody word it's saying. Anyway, yeah. What we're talking about, yeah, Action Man. Right, Stephen's asking, what was your favourite pinball machine? I don't have a favourite pinball machine, Stephen, because I lived in central Scotland, I never really got to go to arcades. Pinball was something that utterly bypassed me. I never really got into pinball at all. I couldn't actually tell you what the best pinball table is. I know Ian Cullens, he's got one. He's got Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think everybody's got their own favourite. For me, I honestly don't know. I really don't know. Excuse me. Yeah, Adam's Family. That's meant to be one. Ah, Dale, your dad had a Humber Zephyr and a Ford console. Ah, right. Got you. Yeah. Yeah, Al, blue rinse for beard for charity. No danger. You need to remember, I've got to go to work, and if you think I'm going to work with a blue rinse beard, you can fuck off. You know, one thing I've never, I'll tell you, I've been once. People used to go to Butlins every year. One of my mates, he used to go to Butlins, was it in Filey, which is, I think, it's Filey down I think that's down the west coast of Edinburgh, the west coast of Scotland. I never, we never ever got to go. I used to always want to go, but mum and dad, I don't know, they didn't want to. Stephen's asking, did you ever play a game called Kirby? Wait a minute, are you talking about the game where there's two of you and you stand on the pavement, you stand off the road at the pavement, and the idea is you've got to throw the ball so it hits the curb edge and then bounce back and you catch it? Or are you talking about Kirby, the game from Nintendo? If you're talking about the first one, yeah, I used to play that. Tin Can Alley, yeah. In fact, it was myself and Lawn Boys Post. We were talking about Tin Can Alley not that long ago. There was one sold on eBay for about 50 quid. Again, it's another one of these things you would buy it, and I don't know. I don't think you would. I don't think you would. I think it's a bit of a. It's one of these things that would never really live up to what it was. Yeah, Ox is saying TCR and Race and Chase. Yeah, these are two games or two game. Yeah, it was two games that always looked amazing. They always looked absolutely amazing. But the reality was apparently they were actually pretty shit. Cheers, Robert. I know I'm saying cheers, Robert. Robert left 25 minutes ago. Right, listen, I think we are going to call it a day. Why not do live stream from the computer club? You know what? I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. Richard, are you in the stream? One of the my other mates that goes to the computer club. He's I don't know if he watches my. I know he does watch some of my videos. It's in a bowling club, and if they've got Wi-Fi and people don't mind, then technically we could stream. I would need to ask at the end of the day. Just because I'm happy enough to come on to a live stream, it doesn't mean anyone else would be. I need to double check. Right, listen, I'm going to get going. Yeah, but like I said, if you can get along to the computer and video games, if you can get along to the computer club next Tuesday, by all means. No. Dominic Diamond does not run the computer club. He just did it. He did it as a favour, actually. Right, I don't think I actually, even in Alan, I had it was a sailor action man, complete with a beard, and I actually got my dad's shaver or razor and I actually physically cut all his hair off it. I don't know why I did that because that's what we used to do. We used to ruin toys. Right, listen, that's yeah. I'm going to call it a day. That's an hour and 23 of me talking pish. So I will be along on Sunday to play that bad boy over there. It's going to be a BBC because the BBC is what you call it 40 years old. Who would have thought it? And then next Thursday we're going to be playing China Minor for an hour and a half, not a minute more. And then after that, never again. I don't want to hear the game mentioned. I'm not going to play it. So if anyone mentions it, they're going to get an outright ban. So anyway, listen, people. I hope you all have an excellent weekend. Hopefully catch up on Sunday. As always, thank you very much for watching. See ya.